our next few videos will be centered around all the baloney, crap, rubbish, garbage that's been preached to us as the truth by people who are lying through their teeth and so forth over the centuries up to these modern times. We're going to start with the Bible history and the Shroud of Turin. Is it a relic or is it a forgery? We found this website with this particular article. We have found information from another reliable source which states that it is probably a medieval fake. It makes comparisons with the biblical scriptures on Jesus' death and burial in the tomb, wrapped in the cloths, certain oils, etc., etc., put on him before the body was placed in these cloths, and put into the tomb and sealed up tight with a rock at the front, right? A big stone at the front, and 2 Roman guards, or 2 temple guards. So here it says, new study claims an ancient earthquake can shed light on the Shroud of Turin. Is the Shroud of Turin real or fake? Its authenticity has long been questioned. Radiocarbon dating tests conducted in the 1980s concluded that the shroud dated to the 13th to 14th century. A recently published study in the journal Mechanica, however, claims that an earthquake that hit Jerusalem in 33 CE may have increased the shroud's carbon-14 levels, putting into doubt the accuracy of the original radiocarbon tests. The shroud is purported to be Jesus' burial cloth, according to the account of Jesus supposedly being invited to Edessa by Abgar, the king at the time, Abgar the Black. He said, I can't make it because I'm going about doing my father's work. And he dies on a cross and so forth. And then the headcloth used to cover Jesus was given to him along with a letter by Jesus, or possibly just on its own, and it healed the king and his son of their afflictions. And then later on it was supposedly stolen from this king when his country Edessa was invaded, and could possibly have been the Shroud of Turin, or the Shroud of Turin is actually a fake. We can post that information for you in our description box under the video if it's not too long. We may split the videos into 2, so we'll put the first part on that one and the second part on the second one. Okay, so back to this article. The shroud is purported to be Jesus' burial cloth, front and back. Images of a man who seems to have been crucified can be seen on the 14 by 3 foot 5 foot linen cloth, as described by Vaughan M. Bryant Jr. in the November-December 2000 issue of BAR, or Bar. The tradition of Jesus' burial shroud in a cloth, now known as the Shroud of Turin, has had a long and complicated history. Eusebius reported that in 30 AD a certain Thaddeus, one of Jesus' disciples, Thaddeus, not Adai, gave a cloth with an image on it to King Abgar V, or Abgar the Black, whose palace was in Edessa in modern Turkey. Abgar was severely ill with what scholars now believe may have been leprosy. However, after Abgar touched the cloth, he was miraculously healed. The news of his cure spread rapidly, and soon many pilgrims were flocking to Edessa to see and touch the cloth. More than 900 years later, in 944, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, Romanus I, wanted to obtain the magic cloth, which by then had become known as the Mandalion, or little handkerchief. The city of Edessa refused to give up its sacred relic, so Romanus I laid siege to the city until the people surrendered the Mandalion. The cloth was then taken to the Byzantine capital of Constantinople. According to Byzantine historians, the Mandalion bore only the facial image of Jesus. Some believers today say that the Mandalion was the shroud folded into 8 to make a small square, leaving only the face visible. This may be why, if the Mandalion and the shroud are one and the same, historians did not record that the Mandalion contained a full body image. But why they wouldn't realize its true size is hard to fathom. In 1204, Knights of the Temple of Solomon, an order of monk knights, also known as the Knights Templar, of the Fourth Crusade, reportedly took the cloth, whether the Mandalion or the shroud, to France. It remained in France until sometime during the early 1300s, when it was removed to England for safekeeping after King Philip IV of France destroyed and confiscated properties owned by the Knights of the Temple of Solomon. After about half a century in England, it returned to France, and in 1357 a French nobleman, Geoffroy de Charmey, displayed a cloth to the public in Lille, France, as the true burial shroud of Jesus. However, he never revealed where the shroud came from nor how he acquired it. This is the first verifiable reference to the object now called the Shroud of Turin. In 1453, that cloth was given to the King of Savoy. For more than a century, it remained in a castle belonging to the House of Savoy in Chambéry, France. After surviving a fire in the castle in 1532, the shroud was eventually brought to Turin, where it has remained since 1578, in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. We may have that information. Here we go. So here it is here. There are several elements that challenge the authenticity of the Shroud of Turin. According to the writings of the Gospel of John, Jesus was buried with multiple cloths and not a single shroud as shown by the Shroud of Turin. John 20:5-7, John 11:44. Moreover, the shroud shows traces of blood, whereas according to John 19:40, Jesus was buried with 75 pounds of spices, which is not visible on the shroud. Dating. Carbon-14 dating tests conducted in 1988 dated the shroud between 1260 and 1390 AD, placing it in the medieval period and not during the time of Jesus. Some researchers dispute these results, but no other reliable dating method has allowed it to be dated prior to the medieval period. Historical provenance. The shroud appears in historical records only from 1357, when it was first publicly displayed in Lille, France. Before that, its trail is lost. This absence of clear historical traceability raises doubts about its authenticity. Technical characteristics. Several technical aspects of the shroud, such as the morphology of the man represented on the nature of the blood stains, do not correspond to Jewish burial practices of the time of Jesus. This suggests that the shroud could be a medieval creation, or created in the Middle Ages. In conclusion, although the Shroud of Turin is a sacred relic for many Christians, current evidence seems to indicate that it is more likely a medieval fake rather than the true shroud that wrapped the body of Jesus. Its connection with the Shroud of Edessa, mentioned in historical sources, remains uncertain. So there you go, folks. It's verification that it's a fake. It's been created in the Middle Ages and so forth, and it doesn't relate to the Jewish practices, burial practices, and according to the scriptures. So if you like that we have brought this to you, that we've revealed this to you, then give us a like, subscribe to our channel, add your comments below, and then share this video with all your family, friends and others. Peace be with you, peace be upon you.